I think everyone's quieting down a bit. That's good. I'll put this photograph up.
Very normal.
The gentleman in the middle, Richard White, you recognise? This is in 2019. He co-presented the awards with me. And to his right is Hruday Markonda, who's here tonight. Put your hand up. Fantastic. And his son, Hruday, and they're going to give us a talk on where they are today. So they were highly commended in 2019. Welcome to the stage, Hruday Markonda, and Sri's going to add detail if necessary. So please come to the stage. Thank you.
Wonderful. So first of all, good evening, everyone, and thanks again, Jolly, for hosting this event tonight. So I'm joined by Sri. Would you like to give a quick introduction to yourself?
Hi, I'm Sri, and I'm the founder of Lorgan, and I have 25 years of experience, and we built a platform called Enigma, for which we got a highly commended award in 2019 from Consensus, and we traveled a lot actually from there, and we will talk about that. Actually, that's what our objective is. Yep. Thank you.
Wonderful, Sri. And I myself am Hruday, who is the head of AI, generative AI, and agentic AI here at Lorgan. So as Sri mentioned before, we'll be giving a quick tour of who we are and what we've accomplished in the past couple of years regarding Enigma. So first of all, Lorgan is completely an Australian-based organization, and we are specialized in offering AI, generative AI, agentic AI, and IoT solutions for a number of clients around the world. And we have received many accolades over the past couple of years, including being highly commended at the 2019 Consensus Awards. So I first started an introduction to AI when I was around 15 or 16 years old. And what I was working on was a voice assistant, which is not too dissimilar to Siri. But as I was working on that project, I was also hearing Sri and his team having discussions on calls and meeting people. And I came up to him and asked him, all right, Sri, what kind of project are you working in? Why did you start this journey? And that's when I learned that machine learning projects, they struggle to meet their objectives. And the reason is they fail to consider the changes in behavior of a particular customer or a device or any other entity which they're making predictions for. So what's important is that machine learning needs to take into consideration these changes in behavior and also consider the context which affects these changes in behavior. So that's where we came up with our Enigma platform. So what Enigma offers is, it's a completely configurable platform which allows us to quickly generate behaviors and look at thousands of attributes from the data to then build the context and then build the behavior to see how that behavior is changing. And on top of that, machine learning can be applied where we allow organizations to get real-time recommendations and influence their real-time decisioning. Now, as a lot of you are familiar, in the past couple of years, the generative AI space has greatly become influential. For example, the rise of ChatGPT, and every single organization wants a piece of that cake. So what did we come up with? We came up with our own generative AI solution called Ellie. Now, the cool thing about Ellie is that it is completely a private and a sovereign implementation of LLMs within an organization which only runs on their servers and their cloud. And the cool thing about Ellie is that it is very secure, where data from different departments, which is accessed by the LLM, is clearly segregated. And all of this is done while offering competitive and fair pricing. Now, in the past couple of years, we've also expanded more into the agentic AI side of things, where we can configure and whip up an AI agent to look throughout the internet for whatever kind of data which your organization or use case might require. Now, the cool thing about Enigma is that when compared with other competitors such as Databricks or Snowflake, those kinds of competitors, they still require a lot of personnel and time to complete these projects. But with Enigma, because it's configurable, any organization for any use case and in any industry can quickly implement behavior-driven AI and agentic AI in the same amount of time it would take for them to do a POC. And by that time, they will have a full solution and be ready to go to the market. Now, we here at Lorgan, we also value the privacy and security of our organizations and clients. So what that means is, whatever data goes through Enigma, it stays completely immutable. And additionally, as I mentioned before, Ellie is a completely private and sovereign implementation of LLM within your organization. So here at Lorgan, we've actually pre-built a lot of solutions for multiple industries, which I'll go into a bit more detail. And also we worked with many organizations in the past to create custom solutions. So now we will go through those particular use cases. So the first of which is CR, which is our energy optimization system. So what that means is we are completely integrated with all of the state-of-the-art and latest microgrids, as well as we optimize the amount of energy used in solar plants, power plants, and also optimize the amount of energy to be used to produce a certain amount of chemical in plants such as hydrogen and ammonia plants. Second of all is Cura, which is a healthcare solution for remote patient monitoring. And this is being implemented in many hospitals and clients across the world. The third of which is a brain anesthesia monitoring solution, where we worked with a company here in Australia, where we have received EEG data from surgeries to see and predict and train our models to predict how much anesthesia would a particular patient require before they even go into the surgery. And this is completely dependent on looking on different factors such as what kind of race they are and the full patient profile. Next is our fuel stations use case, which is our Flintel solution. So we worked with a large Latin American fuel station organization where we helped increase their revenues and decrease the amount of churn. Next is our AI agent power solution, where we have a real estate and matching engine where we look over the internet using Ellie's agentic AI capabilities and match what properties best match a particular customer for that real estate agent. Next is our DC Optigma PUE optimization solution, where a big focus of data centers is to optimize their PUE by reducing facility load and increasing the IT load. Next is our telecom solution, where we work with a major Latin American telco company, where we have identified a large amount of fraud, which was happening from whatever data which they were providing, which was around, was that around 10 terabytes?
10 terabytes per day.
Data per day, which we were processing and identifying fraud in.
Yep.
And the kind of fraud which we were looking at is that there were multiple SIMs where each SIM was making a crazy number of calls, which is like
10,000 plus.
10,000, that's absolutely insane. Next is our defect prevention solution, where we were looking at defects the size of even 1 millimeter using image classification in solar panel manufacturing process. Next is we even have our OmniSize solution, which is tailor-made for retail-based customers, as well as our electric vehicle fault detection and prevention solution, where we look at all the data coming from sensors from electric vehicles and seeing at what point might they be failing or they might need servicing and preventative measures like that. Next, what we're pushing more is Babel Fund, where towards wealth management organizations, where we help them optimize the kind of holdings they have in the fund and also help match investors with particular funds. Next is an advanced solution where we are in the education sector, looking at how students can be best matched to a particular university. For example, we look at the behaviors of each individual university and as well as the student and recommend the student, all right, what kind of tasks should that student do so that their behavior can better match the university's behavior, and that means an increased chance of being accepted into that university for that student. Next is our sports use case, which I'm sure a lot of you would love because we're actually working on a project right now for AI-driven horse betting, where last year, and this is crazy, last year we predicted 3 out of the 5 horses which won in last year's Melbourne Cup.
Top 5, yeah.
Yeah.
And the top 5, 3 of them, yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we looked at that by looking at the data of all of the horses which were running on that day, whatever their experience was in previous races, who was the jockey riding on that day and his behavior, as well as the kind of track which they're running on. Basically anything you can think of when it comes to horse racing. We looked at all of that and we were able to predict 3 out of the top 5 horses which won that day. Next is an AI Things solution, where it's also building on the electric vehicle fraud detection, but this time we have also applied it to large jet fans which are working in highway tunnels and also in data centers and similar buildings which have a HVAC system. Now, as I mentioned before, we also have Ellie implemented for a lot of number of our customers, where we scour the internet to retrieve data and also process that data automatically without manual intervention. And also we have worked in the transportation industry as well. Now, as I mentioned before, we have received many accolades over the past couple of years. And some of you may recognize this man. He is the founder of Infosys, Narayan Murthy, and we have received awards from him as well. So as you can see, we are very well accomplished.
Yep.
So please feel free to ask us any questions in the Q&A after this. And once again, thank you all for listening to us.
Any big questions?
I've got one, sorry. Thanks, Julie. Gentlemen, hi, my name's Srikanth. I chair the Oman Holdings Group. Incredible presentation. You do a lot in Latin America. Is that because the adoption is far more, it's easier, lower barrier to entry in Australia? So what's the adoption like in Australia versus something like Latin America?
Sorry, would you like to answer that, Sri?
Yeah, sure, thank you. So, there are 2 different dimensions. I wouldn't say that, okay, the adoption is easier there. It's even tougher there, because all large size consulting companies are already sitting in the large scale telcos across the world wherever we go. So it's more of like, okay, the pain that they were facing at the stage where they were means it's a bit like this, like, okay, the customers or the subscribers that were taking the subscriptions from the telcos were not properly registered there. It was a bit like 15 to 20 years ago, like what it was in Asian countries. That's what exactly the situation there. So their main problem was like, okay, I don't know like, okay, who my customer is, but they're using the phone, number 1. Number 2, their problem was they are targeting their customers with specific type of offers meant for different types of genders and age groups. They wanted to understand, so what is the age group of the person using a phone? For example, his phone is on my name. Okay, so it is exactly the problem actually what they were trying to address, and they tried multiple avenues and they went to multiple companies. They were not satisfied with the solutions that they got. So they came to us and they were giving us 10 terabytes of data per day. And using that, we trained the models because it's all configurable. And our training gave not only the predictions of around 75% accurately, those pain areas, what they were looking for. Not only that, actually, because of behavioral science-driven analysis that we do, we tapped into the real problems that they were losing money because of fraud. So it's a combination of multiple problems we address. That's exactly where we got that entry into. So that's what it is. But see, can we do the same in Australian companies? Maybe, yes, that's where exactly the growth is coming into picture for us as a next step. And we are trying to enter into the market into that space, yes.
Hi, Bruce Wren from Rubila. I was interested in, you were talking about the internet before in a couple of your use cases. It's an area we know a lot about in terms of documentation. One of the things we see time and time again is that the average middle-sized to large organisation can have up to 1,000 duplicates of the same document in an intranet there. Then you have multiple SharePoint systems and so on. And then to actually go and identify the trusted source of data and then put AI on top of it, it's a nightmare. How are you getting around that? What do you want to talk about?
So, yeah, so this is, I must say, I think one thing here, maybe I think we are currently working on one of the products called freedom of information. Especially if you look at in all the councils, you go and ask some document actually, and they give it from their archives and see. It's not like one version of the document, you might be having multiple versions of the document. So the key is always trying to understand like, okay, which one is really the latest one and accurate one. So in that process, actually, sometimes we start with the journey of understanding what exactly the structure is and where the structure is, number one. Number two is, while we are training the RAG-based frameworks in generative AI, we automatically see like, okay, what information we are grabbing and from where. And we see like, okay, whether we can label it like it's the latest information coming or an older information is already present. And based on that, actually, we give it to the business to validate and then bring back like, okay, what needs to be trained on rather than blindly training on everything. So that is exactly where we prevent the hallucinations that appear in generative AI space by giving the accurate information and eliminating all the information that is not required to be there at that point in time. So it's a bit of like what we call a single version of truth on documents, which is not easy, very complex. Yeah, it's very complex. I agree with you. Yeah.
So I use my dad voice.
No problem. Yeah.
Because a bit short, I'll come up the front. John Katsuri from My Brainwave, an innovation management company. Congratulations on what you're doing.
Thank you.
It's excellent. The question I have is from your LLMs, are you developing them in-house, or are you sort of connecting to the GPT-5s and the Geminis and the rest of them? Just your
Very good question. So I think what Hruday was showing there was a bit like what we are mainly focused in. If you look at entire current situation of what exactly is happening in the world, and every country wants to have their own way of handling the data without depending on external data sources or information sources. So what's happening is like, okay, what we do is we are not developing an LLM from scratch, but we are bringing the LLMs that are foundational and available in the market, and we bring it back into the localized servers where we put the GPUs, and then we install that, and then we fine-tune those LLMs to make it work for the organization where we are working.
So if I play that back, you've got multiple LLMs
Absolutely.
that you're using, best of
Absolutely.
breed, so you
Exactly.
don't have to invest in
We don't.
keeping up to date because they're paying $1 billion
Absolutely.
for a techo engineer and so on.
We don't want to do
You're
that.
taking the
Absolutely.
latest, but
Yeah.
you're bringing it in
Exactly.
behind the firewall to say, hey, I know you're worried about
Absolutely.
protection.
Exactly.
Then you're bringing it in here and saying,
Yep.
hey, on all your data,
Yep.
the
Yep.
brain is
Yep.
working on your data.
Absolutely.
And you're leveraging it that way.
Exactly.
And so from a price point compared to the Infosys, the Wipro, those guys, percentage-wise, how much cheaper are they?
At least 50%. That's what it is. Yeah. Because we are configurable. We don't sit there. See, what we do usually is in all these customers that we do, if any of traditional way of services companies saying that, okay, they will take 18 months to deliver a project, our pitch is usually like, okay, replace that months with weeks. Means it's not because we are cheap. The platform runs at a much higher speed. Absolutely. It is configurable. You don't need 20 developers.
So
Okay?
you target markets, large corporates and SMEs?
And we wanted to work with those companies, even Infosys, TCS, and others, because we are not fighting with them. Actually, we are not competing with them. We wanted to collaborate with them, and we wanted them to take us to the market.
So your smaller size company is?
$200 per customer. Exactly. To optimize their energy bills. Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. The largest one is something like the telco, what we were talking. That's a massive
South
one.
American.
Yes.
How come not the Australian top area?
We need to enter into that panels. That's where exactly it takes time. We need, maybe I think my beard has to be still more wider and grayer, I think.
Okay, so I'm Leon Goldsman, Ecolibrum headquarters. I engage communities, and my question is, where do you see yourself in, say, 5 years from now?
Okay, so see, our journey is we wanted to rapidly grow from where we are. See, I think if you look at for a company of our size, where we started around 5 years ago, thanks, Jolly, I think you recognized us in the market. Actually, that's really good. And we came to the point like we have around 15 different solutions for different industries. When we started our journey in 2019, when we came for consensus at that time, the market was not trusting that, okay, there is a single solution that can be applied for any industry with ease without requiring too much of money and time. So I think we crossed that path, and we are now at a point that, okay, it is proven and it is running fine. So we wanted to grow from this point in the next 5 years. And from there, we don't want to stop there. Actually, we wanted to enter into the quantum computing side. And we don't want to go to the real quantum, where it is much complex and very complex to implement in a business level, but bring the best of quantum and blend with our Enigma and Ellie. So Enigma and Ellie runs like a rocket, actually. That's where exactly we wanted to do. So we wanted to empower the businesses that we are working in a way that, okay, they can implement AI at much higher speed than what it is currently. We have an ambition of saying that, okay, any AI project we wanted to deliver in 24 hours, we will see where we will go. We don't know.
No worries.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's going to leave it there.
question?
We've got to move on with other presentation. Thank you very much indeed, guys. What a great presentation. Well done. Fantastic.
Lolly?
Well done.
Switch it up.